Good morning, students. Let us discuss the next lesson, national movement, the early phase between 1885 to 1918. Already you know that our India was controlled and ruled by Britishers. So at the time, against the Britishers, so many revolts occurred in India. So the national movement was also started in India against the Britishers. So all the sections came together to not only fight against the British rule but also to build a new country. So already you learned about Sepoy revolt in class 7th. So in the year 1857, the first revolt was started in India. That was Sepoy revolt or soldiers revolt. So at the time, the Britishers were introduced a new type of cartridge which is covered with cow and pig fat, and at the time our soldiers were treated lower than the British soldiers, and those were not able to get salaries timely. So because of that discontent, soldiers revolted against the Britishers. So after that, so many other people joined with them, like royal families and ordinary peasants, artisans and landlords, princes also joined with the soldiers to struggle against the British rule. So those were revolted against the Britishers to show their discontent to oppose the British rule, but they don't have any idea about the democracy at the time, and they don't have any new vision of the country. So those idea was to restore the rule of the old kings and queens and also the same caste based society. Why? Because we don't have any idea about democracy or other form of governments at the time. Why? Because people were not educated. Okay, we don't have that much idea about democracy. So after the English education was introduced during the late 19th centuries in some major cities like Calcutta, Madras and Bombay. So why? Because first of all, the Britishers were established their rule these areas, and those officials were stayed in some urban areas. So that's why they introduced English education in that places. So because of English education, people knew consequences of development and new ideologies. So some intellectuals, means educated people of that time, opposed the inequalities and injustice of the old social system. So in our social system, so many differences were there between the people. Okay, inequalities also there in our society. So they wanted to democratic political order, and at the same time they wanted to point out the exploitation and the injustice caused by the British rule and fight to end it. Because of education, some intellectuals started fight against social inequalities and also against the British rule. So that was the beginning of the national movement in India. So at the time of second half of the 19th century, the educated Indians, after understanding the nature of the British rule and its impact on India, so became more and more critical of the British policies in India. So later they began to come together and discuss these issues and also formed association for this. So the educated Indians so understood the British rule and impact of the British rule and policies. Then they started discussions on them and they started association to discuss these issues in some cities like Calcutta, Madras and some other areas. So they started forming the associations. In 1866, Dadabhai Naoroji organized the East India Association. So association means one place to gather the people under one platform. Okay, so he started East India Association in London to discuss the Indian problems. So where he was started? In London. Dadabhai Naoroji started East India Association. During 1866 to 1885, various leaders like Surendranath Banerjee, Justice M.G. Rande, Badruddin Tayabji, K.C. Telong and G. Subramaniam organized association in Calcutta, Pune, Bombay and Madras to discuss the problems faced by Indians in these provinces. So in different provinces, different areas also, different people were started, different associations, not together. So they started association in those places to discuss the problems. These associations had nationalistic zeal and tried to unite the intellectuals. So many of the associations functioned in specific parts of the country, especially in urban areas. What are the goals of those? Goals of the people of India, they stated as the goals of all the peoples of India, not those of any one region or community or class. They worked with the idea that the people should be sovereign. What is the meaning of sovereign? No one should be entering into the affairs of the Indian people. Okay. So, on the other words, they believed that the Indian people should be empowered to take decisions regarding their affairs. So, usually at the time Britishers were ruling our country and they are formed different laws. So now our people wanted to take the decision regarding issues by the people only. So many intellectuals started campaigns against some British policies like taxes on textiles. So at the time, the Britishers, to discourage the production of cloth in India, they imposed more taxes on our industries. So to encourage the cloth of Britishers, so they imposed more taxes on Indian textiles. Racial discrimination, already we discussed. So there was a discrimination between soldiers, between British soldiers and Indian soldiers because of the Sipahi revolt was started. Repressive laws against Indian newspapers. So against all these, some intellectual started campaigns in some areas. They realized the importance of discussing the policies of the government and organizing campaigns to change them. So why? Because at that time all people were uneducated, even the people were lived in different places in village areas, so they don't know what is going on in the British rule. That's why they decided to discuss these issues with all the people by conducting different campaigns. Okay. Next, the Indian National Congress, the moderate phase, 1885-1905. So here the Indian National Congress means that was not a political party at the time. So that was the organization or platform to unite the people. Okay. So now later after independence, that was converted as a political party. Okay. So all these provincial nationalistic intellectuals come together in the first session of the Indian National Congress at Bombay in December 1885. Before that, all these leaders were formed their associations in their hometowns, in the different kingdoms or provinces or districts. But now all these people were gathered under one platform at Bombay in December 1885. That was the first meeting by Indian National Congress. So in that session was presided over by W.C. Banerjee, and 72 delegates from different parts were attended. So the early leaders means first leaders Dadabhai Naoroji, Firoz Shah Mehta, Badruddin Tayabji, W.C. Banerjee, Surendranath Banerjee, Ramesh Chandra Dutt, S. Subramaniam Iyer, among others, were largely from Bombay. These are belongs to Bombay, Madras and Calcutta, means urban areas. A.O. Hume, a retired British official, also played an important role in establishing the Congress. So that's why we can say that A.V. Hume is the person who established the Congress in India. So the leaders of the Congress realized that the foremost task before them was to build a nationalist consequences among the diverse people of India and unite them. First of all, in India, different religion, different language people, different region people were lived. So what is the main aim, main challenge before the leaders was, so to unite the people. That is more important. Okay. And at the same time, they realized that this unity could be built only by accommodating the special requirements of different regions and religious communities of India. So the problems were not same on whole India. So different community people or different religion people are facing, and region people are facing different problems. So we have to give the importance to those problems, then only people will be unite. Okay. And they decided hold the Congress sessions in different parts of the country every year, and not to pass any resolution without which was objected to by any one religious group. So what they decided, to unite the people, they should conduct the meetings in different plots in different times. So if they conduct only meetings in Bombay, mostly other people won't be joined with that. So that's why they decided to conduct these meetings different parts. And another decision, this is most important decision. So what is that? And not to pass any resolution which was objected to by any one religious group. If any, when you are discussing about any issue, if any religion group objected that, we should not pass the resolution. So if you pass the resolution, definitely that religion group will be move away from this unity, from this group. That's why they maintained that much discipline in that Congress. The second major objective of the early Congress was to create a common political platform or program around which political works in different parts of the country could gather and conduct their political activities, educating and mobilizing people on an all India basis. Previously what happened? So the people started their own organizations in different places, Now they decided those should come under one platform and one program should be conducted. Okay. Next, this was to be accomplished by taking up those grievances and fighting for those rights which Indians had in common in relation to the rulers. They studied the grievances of people and wrote appeals to the government and also used them to educate the people about their political rights. Already we discussed, so different regions, different religion people have different problems. So they understood and they studied up the grievances of different people and to resolve those problems. So these Indian Congress leaders wrote appeals or presented petitions to the government, and in the same time they tried to educate the people also. Next, the third major objective was to promote democratic ideas and functioning in India. So at the time of Sepoy revolt, they want to restore the previous kingdoms. But now the Indian Congress introduced the idea of democratic ideals. Because of English education, we knew about the different form of governments. So now we, because of this only, we took the democratic path after independence. Okay. So democratic ideals in functioning in India, the Indian National Congress functioned democratically. So not only they spread that idea, but those were followed in that organization also. Okay, discussing all the issues and trying to create consciousness, or sometimes use voting also. So now at the time the leaders only not taken the decisions, those were discussed the issues in the meeting, and sometimes they conducted voting how the democratic principles functioning. Okay, at this stage the ANC decided not to take up issues relating to social reform, as it would divide the Indian people. So most of the Indian leaders at the time of Congress, so those were against the some issues, social issues, but they decided to not to take up issues relating to social reform like untouchability, like child marriages or other social issues. If they take up those issues, so what will happen? The people will be divided based on the social issues. Some people will be oppose this decision, some people will be accept these decisions, then people will be divided instead of unite. So that's why they decided to not to take the social issues relating to social reforms at the time. So they thought that those can be resolved later after getting independence. But reforms was to be carried out through different forums, so different people, but not by the Indian National Congress. In 1886, 436 delegates were elected to the Congress by different local organizations and groups, indicating its popularity in 1 year. So previously only 72 delegates were presented. Now those delegates were increased. Okay. Next, hereafter the National Congress met every year in December in different parts of the country. The number of delegates soon increased to thousands. Its delegates were mostly lawyers, journalists, traders, industrialists, teachers and landlords. Okay. So of course common people or agriculture people cannot afford, cannot spend the time, cannot understand the issues. So that's why most of the intellectuals were attended for that meetings. There were very few women who participated in the Congress, like Kadambari Ganguly, so who was the first woman graduate from Calcutta. So it is appreciable. So Kadambari Ganguly was the first graduate from Calcutta, woman graduate from Calcutta, and she was participated in Indian National Congress meetings. Mostly men from higher social background attended these sessions. Okay. Next, during the first 20 years, the Congress was led by the leaders who are known as moderate nationalists. The moderates urged the government to introduce a number of reforms. They demanded a greater voice for Indians in the government and in administration. So the first leaders demanded, they demanded to take some people in government or in administration. They wanted the Imperial Legislative Council to be made more representative, given more power, and introduced in provinces where none existed. So at the time, most of the officials belonged to Britishers. So Indians' participation was very less. So they demanded that Indians be placed in higher positions in the government. For this purpose, it called for civil service examination to be held in India as well, not just in London. So to select IAS officers, now and at that time also, they conducted civil service examination. So that was conducted at London. So that's why the Indians were not selected. Very few people, rich people or elected people, were presented to write the exam. So most of the Britishers only wrote these exams and selected as IAS to administrate in India. So the demand for Indianization of the administration was part of a movement against racism, since most important jobs at the time were monopolized by the white Europeans. Even in soldiers, even in administration. So most of the higher positions were occupied by Britishers. Okay, so now they want to change. Our earlier leaders were demanded to change that position. Leaders like Nauroji, R.C. Dutt and Ronde studied the economic impact of the British rule and concluded that the British were draining India of her wealth through taxes and other means and leaving her poor and poor. So what is the main aim of the Britishers? They want to get more profits through collecting the taxes. So they collected taxes and they exported all the goods and important wealth to their countries. So they draw attention to the problem of poverty and famines and blamed it on the British policies of excessive land revenue, export grains, etc. The Congress passed many resolutions on the salt tax. So even Mahatma Gandhi started Uppu Satyagraha. Okay, so salt tax, treatment of Indian laborers abroad, and the sufferings of forest dwellers caused by an interfering forest administration. So at the time, Forest Department Act was passed by the Britishers. So that's why the tribal people who are living near the forest were lost their rights on the forest. So here Congress leaders passed so many resolutions against the Britishers. So the early leaders were convinced of the need for national industrial development to end poverty in India. However, the British rule was standing in the way of development, as they were not only draining India of its wealth to England but also enabling selling of British goods at cheaper rate in India and restraining Indian crafts and industries. Not only exporting the raw material to Britishers, and they tried to sell their goods after producing in India with cheaper rates. So that affects the production of Indian crafts and industries. The moderate leaders reached out to people in different parts of the country by holding lectures meetings and tours. They believed that the British were committed to freedom and justice and would accept the demands when expressed properly. So what was the idea of the elder leaders? If you express our ideas, if you oppose the policies of the Britishers in a peaceful way, so definitely they will listen and they may grant the independence to us. They carried on their agitations through newspapers, public lectures. They passed resolutions and lead deputations to submit petition to the government. So in that way, so how they express their discontent against the Britishers? Through newspapers, by giving the petitions, by delivering the public lectures, like that only. In short, it may be said that they adopted a policy of pray, petition and protest. So what they implemented? Pray and request, and petition, submitting the petitions to solve the problems, and protest means they may conduct some meetings, passing resolutions, like that only. Okay, so often they were not able to persuade the government to change, but in the process formulated Indian opinion on important issues. This was very important for the future growth of Indian national movement. But the elder leaders protested peacefully against the British rule, but they cannot force the Britishers to change the administration and policies, but that was helped to improve the future growth of Indian national movement. Okay, so like that Indian national movement was started against the Britishers in India. So we will discuss the next phase in the second class. So write your own notes. Thank you.